Ed, Savani, Ron, they get up and Ron, they get up in front of people and they talk to people. So they seemed relaxed at it because they do it all the time. But I don't. So, when I started this, the question was, how did the Levites find the favor of God? Can you hear me? How about now? You need to read my mouth? My lips? All right. So I started in Exodus 24:12 on Mount Sinai. Moses is on Mount Sinai with his servant Joshua and Moses receiving the Ten Commandments. And about 600 laws. I said 600 laws because I looked it up on the internet and it said between 611 to 613. Two of them said 613. So I wonder what size font did God use for the 10 Commandments and 600 laws on 2 tables of stone? Exodus 24:12 says, Now the Lord said to Moses, Come up to me on the mountain and remain there, and I will give you the stone tablets with the law and the commandments which I have written for their instructions. Wait a minute. Hold on here. I read on the internet it said 613 laws. So what I did was I looked in a couple of translations, the ASV, the ERV, the ISV, the KJV, the KJV Plus, the LEB, the MKJV, and the TBT. They all said exactly law. The TBT said that it is not available in this translation. Now, what do you think? Okay, so what do I do? Hey, let's look into the Strong's exhaustive concordance of the Bible. It should say the exhaustive book, because the time you find what you're looking for, you are exhausted. For example, looking up the meaning of Levites, and the time I got done, I was chasing numbers. I was reading the meaning of Leviathan. So let's see what the Strong says about the law. In the Strong's 8451, it says it's Torah. From 3384, a precept, a statute, especially the Decalogue of Pentateuch. I looked up Torah. The word Torah in Hebrew is divine from the root, which in conjunctions means to guide or to teach. The meaning of the word is therefore teaching, doctrine, and instruction. The common concept law gives the wrong impression. Decalogue is the 10 Commandments. Pentateuch means simply 5 books. In the Greek, the Pentateuch, which Jews call the Torah, include the 5 books: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. I did look up the meaning of Levites in the Strong's. The number is 3878, meaning of the word Levite from the Hebrew, which comes from the Hebrew root, meaning connect or attach. literally meaning one who is connected and attached. But connected and attached to what? Now, where was I? Oh, yeah, on the mountain with God. Moses was up there conversing with God. I wonder what God is saying. God, hey, Moses, should I give the people 10 commandments or 11? Moses, no, make it an even 10, then write the rest in the law. Now let's look at, let's go on and finish reading verse 12. Now the Lord said to Moses, come up to the mountain on the mount and remain there, and I will give you a stone of tablets with the law and the commandments which I have written for their instructions. So Moses arose with Joshua, his servant, and Moses went up to the mountain of God. But the elders, he said, wait here for us until we return to you. And behold, Aaron and Hur are with you. Whoever has a legal matter, let him approach them. Then Moses went up to the mountain, and the cloud covered the mountain. The glory of the Lord rested on the Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it for 6 days. On the seventh day, on the Sabbath day, he called Moses from the midst of the cloud, and the eye of the Son of Israel, the appearance of the glory of God, of Lord, which like a consuming fire on the top of the mountain. Moses entered the midst of the cloud as when, Moses went up the midst of the cloud as he went up to the mountain. And Moses was on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. Okay, now I'm going to skip down to, I'm going to skip down to Exodus 32:1. Because from Exodus 25 to 28, God was laying out Moses' plan on how to build the tabernacle and all its furniture. 29 to 30, consecration of the priest, the sacrificed food of the priest, making of the altar of incense, how to make anointing oil and how to use it and how not to use it, how to make incense for the altar of incense, how to use it and how not to use it. So now we're down and let's see, the skilled, 31 was skilled craftsmen and the Sabbath day. So now we come down to 32. While Moses was up in the mountain, the people got restless. I can see it now. Hey, Aaron, what the heck is taking Moses so long? He should have been back by now. Meanwhile, back at camp at the base of Mount Sinai, Exodus 32, 1 through 4, now when the people saw that Moses delayed to coming down from the mountain, the people assembled about Aaron and said to him, come, make us a god who will go before us. As for this Moses, the man who brought us from the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him. Aaron said to them, tear off your gold rings, which are in ears of your wives, your sons, your daughters, and bring them to me. Then all the people tore off the gold rings, which were in their ears, and brought them to Aaron. He took this from their hands and fashioned it with a graven tool and made it from a molten calf. And they said, This is our God, O Israel, who brought us up from the land of Egypt. I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to blame every ministry that ever said, read the scriptures and think. Because first of all, a calf is not a small animal. I looked up the definition of calf. It is a young cow or bull in its first year, also called a heifer. I looked up how tall a heifer is. Depending on the breed, it can weigh 700 to 800 pounds. The height can be 46 inches, which is a little below 4 feet, I believe, and 51 inches. So how much gold would it take just to make a newborn calf? A newborn calf is roughly around 22 inches, and it's about a little under 2 feet. Now Aaron had to make a mold of the calf and melt it down with a graving tool. He had to make a mold. He had to melt down the gold. The next thing he had to do is fashion it with an engraving tool. Now, on YouTube, I watch a show that deals with casting metal. Okay, and to cast metal, you have to have a form, and with the form, they put one half of it together and the other half. So if you're Aaron and you're out in Mount Sinai, you're going to need something to cast or to make. So they must have had stone cutters. They must have had people that knew how to make brick. So if you'd have to cast or engrave the stone, put them together, pour the gold on top. But the only problem is you put the hot gold into, say, the rock or whatever you're pouring in. If you don't heat it up, it's going to explode out. So that would have take a lot of time to do. Another way is to do it would be to make a form, level it off, engrave the sand or the brick to where you can make the details of a calf, pour it in, and then put them together. So I don't know what he's going for. I know where I'm going with this. I just got to get down to my notes. So it must have took a long time to do that. Gold heats at 1,948 degrees. Oh, and they also had to have a forge and a crucible. I looked up what kind of steel they had for in biblical times, and they call it Damascus steel. And it was used to make weapons and tools. So they could have made a forge out of that. The steel melts at 2,500 degrees. Have you ever looked at pictures of Mount Sinai, though? It's bare and it's a desolate place. Yeah. Exodus 12, 35, and 36 says, Israel plundered the Egyptians. Now the sons of Israel had done according to the word of Moses, for they had requested from the Egyptians articles of silver and articles of gold and clothing. And the Lord had given the people favor in the sight of the Lord, sight of the Egyptians. So that they let them have their request. Thus they plundered the Egyptians. Of course they did. After all what they went through, I would have to say, you want, okay. Of course they did. After all what they went through, I would have to say, whatever you want, just get out, leave now. I can see it now, an Israelite coming up to a blacksmith shop saying, hey buddy, can I have that forge and crucible? I'm thinking about bugging Aaron of making a golden calf. No? No, okay. Let's get back to Exodus 32, 1 through 6. Now when the people saw that Moses delayed coming down from the mountain, the people gathered together to Aaron and said to him, come, make us a god who will go before us. For as for this Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what become of him. And Aaron said to the become of him. And Aaron said to them, break off your golden earrings, which are in your ears of your wives and your sons and your daughters, and bring them to me. So all the people broke off the golden earrings which were in their ears and brought them to Aaron. And he received the gold from their hands and fashioned it in a graven tool and made a molten calf. Right here, the people made a big mistake. So when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made a proclamation saying, tomorrow is the feast to the Lord. Then they rose up early the next day, offering burnt offerings and brought peace offerings, and the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. Exodus 32 says, Exodus 32, 7 through 10. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, go down at once, for your people whom you brought out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have quickly turned aside from the way which I commanded them. They have made for themselves a molten calf and have worshipped it and have sacrificed to it and said, this is your God, O Israel, who brought you up from the land of Egypt. The Lord said to Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, they are an obstinate people. Now then, let me alone, that my anger may burn against them, and that I may destroy them, and I will make of you a great nation. Moses must have been thinking, oh my God, he's going to wipe everybody out. Then Moses entreated the Lord his God and said, O Lord, why does your anger burn against your people whom you have brought out from the land of Egypt with great power and with great mighty hand? Why should the Egyptians speak, saying, with evil intent, he brought them out to kill them in the mountain and destroyed them from the face of the earth? Turn from your burning anger and change your mind about doing harm to your people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants, to whom you swore by yourself and said to them, I will multiply your descendants as the stars of the heavens, and all this land of which I have spoken I will give to your descendants, and this shall inherit it, and they shall inherit it forever. So the Lord changed his mind about harming, which he said he would to his people. The word entreatment means ask someone earnestly or anxiously to do something. Moses must have had a unique relationship with God to be able to change his mind. Moses coming off the mountain, Exodus 32, 15, 24. Then Moses turned and went down from the mountain with the 2 tablets of the testimony in his hand. Tablets which were written on both sides. They were written on one side and the other. The tablets were God's work and the writing of God, writing engraved on the tablets. Now when Joshua heard the sound of people as they shouted, he said to Moses, there's a sound of war in the camp. But he said, it is not the sound of war. It is not the sound of the cry of triumph, nor is it the sound of the cry of defeat, but the sound of singing I hear. I came about as soon as Moses came near the camp that he saw the calf and the dancing. And the Moses angered burned, and he knew the tablet. Okay. Moses' anger burned, and he threw the tablets from his hand and scattered them at the foot of the mountain. He took the calf which they had made and burnt it with fire, and ground it with powder, and scattered it over the surface of the water, and made the sons of Israel drink it. Moses wanted to know how this happened. This is Exodus 21. Then Moses said to Aaron, what did this people do to you that you have brought such great sin upon them? Aaron said, do not let the anger of my Lord burn. You know the people yourself, that they are prone to evil. For they said to me, make a God for us, who will go before us. For this Moses, the man who brought us up from the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him. I said to them, I said to them, whoever has any gold, let them tear it off. So they gave it to me, and I threw it in the fire, and out came this calf. Remember back in verse 4, I said, right here, the people made a big mistake. What did God say when he was angry at the people in verse 9? He said, an obstinate people. What did Aaron say when Moses was trying to find out what happened in verse 22? He said that they were prone to evil. I looked up the meaning of obstinate. It means stubbornly, refuse to change one mind or course of action, despite attempts to persuade one to do so. I also looked up the meaning of stubbornly. And it says, in a manner of a dogged determination not to change one's attitude or position or on something. You ever see a dog when he doesn't want to be walked? He gets his back legs, his hind haunches, and he does not want to move. That's what type of people Moses was dealing with, and God. Okay, where was I? So ask me why did I say in verse 32, right here, the people, okay, I already did that. All right, where am I? Okay. The people made a big mistake because the golden, okay, I should have said that. So ask me why I said in verse 32, right here, the people made a big mistake. Ask me why. Oh, I'm glad you asked. The people made a big mistake because they put the golden calf as a higher god than God. Then they said, "This is your God, O Israel, that brought you out of the land of Egypt." By not recognizing that the true God brought them out of Egypt, they put the false god or the idol in a higher place and not accepting what God did in Egypt and how God brought them across the Red Sea. They put all that on a golden calf and had a party. Moses draws a line in the sand. This is where I wanted to get to, because the question I had is, how did God find favor with the Levites? Now, Exodus 32, 25, 26. Now when Moses saw that the people were out of control, for Aaron had let them get out of control, to be I can't even say it, I said it earlier too. No, I didn't. Their verse among the enemies. The verse means ridiculed or mocked. What happened here is Pharaoh let the people out of Egypt. There were some Egyptian people that went with them for reasons I don't know. Could have been the plague. It could have been the way he treated them. But when they came out with their gods. The Bible says that the people assembled about Aaron, and then the Bible says, "Make us a god that will come before us." Do you think Aaron said, "Sure, okay, I will make an Egyptian god to replace my one and only true God"? Sure, that sounds good. Or do you think he had resisted until he had enough of it? And then he told them to tear off their earrings. Now the camp is divided between believers and true believers, believers between non-believers and true believers of God. There was enemies. Remember what God and Aaron said about the people? Obstinate people. King James says stiff-necked people, meaning haughty and stubborn. Aaron said, prolonged to evil, immoral, wicked. The people did not go along with worshiping. The people that didn't go along with worshiping the calf was mocked. They mocked and ridiculed the people that were worshiping the calf. Okay, Exodus 32:25. Now when Moses saw that the people were out of control, for Aaron had let them get out of control to be a derision among their enemies, then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, whoever is for the Lord, come to me. And all the sons of Levites gathered themselves together. This is the beginning of God's separation, the Levites for himself. Because, Nelson's Bible Dictionary says it this way. The Levites were no less guilty than the other tribes, but when Moses turned and called for those on the Lord's side to come forward, the descendants of the Levites were the only ones who voluntarily rallied to his side, showing zeal for God's honor. After that, 3,000 people died because the camp had been, well, I'll get to that. But where is it? All right. The consecration of the Levites. Numbers 8:5-15. Again, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, take the Levites from among the sons of Israel and cleanse them. Thus you shall do to them for their cleansing, sprinkling, purifying water on them. And let them use a razor over their whole body and wash their clothes, and they will be clean. Then let them take a bull with its grain offering, fine flour mixed with oil, and a second bull you shall take for a sin offering. You shall present the Levites before the tent of meetings. You shall also assemble the whole congregation of the sons of Israel, and present the Levites before the Lord, and the sons of Israel shall lay their hands on the Levites. Aaron then shall present the Levites before the Lord as a wave offering for the sons of Israel, that they may qualify performing the service of the Lord. Now the Levites shall lay their hands on their heads of the bulls, and then offer the one for the sin offering and the other for the burnt offering, to make atonement for the Levites. You shall have the Levites stand before Aaron and before the sons, so to present them as a wave offering to the Lord. Thus you should separate the Levites from among the sons of Israel, and the Levites shall be mine. Then after that, the Levites may go into the service of the tent of meetings, but you shall cleanse them and present them a wave offering. Now we go to Numbers 3:5-14. Where the Levites are specially chosen from God. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, bring the tribe of Levites near and set them before Aaron the priest, that they may serve him. They shall perform the duties for him and for the whole congregation before the tent of the meetings, to do the service of the tabernacle, They shall also keep all the furnishings of the tent of the meetings, along with the duties of the son of Israel to do of the tabernacle. You shall thus give the Levite and Aaron and his sons, they are wholly given to me from among the sons of Israel. You shall appoint Aaron and his sons that they may keep their priesthood, but the layman who comes near shall be put to death. Again, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Now behold, taken the Levites from among the sons of Israel instead of every firstborn, the first issue of the womb among the sons of Israel. So the Levites shall be mine. For all the firstborn are mine, on the day that I struck down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt. I sacrificed to myself all the firstborn in Egypt, from man to beast. They shall be mine, and I am the Lord. Okay, we see in verse above, God separated Levites from Israel and made them a first fruit company. When I read this, I realized there was another person in the Bible that was the firstborn and is truly his. His name is Jesus. Numbers, okay. When the Levites did do the ministry, when they started at 25, they retired at 50, and then at 50, they were able to instruct but not work the next generation. Instruct the next generation on how the tabernacle is worked. Okay. I know I did some humor, some dry humor, and gone down a huge rabbit hole. Let's see. And I started to find out the Levites became a favor of God. I didn't know it would end up to be 3,000 people dead. Because Moses said, go throughout the camp, and whoever's against us and not for us, kill them. Okay. But that was a fight between good and evil. And we fight that fight every day. But the good news is we have a firstborn son named Jesus. And he fought the hardest battle, death and hell, through the cross. Levites means one who's connected or attached. Through baptism, we are connected and attached in Jesus. And that's all I have.